Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy O'Malley and this is Better Science Teaching. I haven't posted a new video in a really long time. It's been almost a year. I think my last video was actually my planner from last year, which I just did a walkthrough of, and not really talking about how to set up your planner if you're a high school teacher. I feel like somewhere in my soul as an elementary school teacher, that was where I did a lot of my first teaching experiences, was working with elementary kids in 4th and 5th grade, and with working at a science museum in their education department. So I kind of enjoy the cute teaching stuff sometimes. And this is a fun thing to do. It kind of keeps it to myself a little bit. But I have a good time with it, and it kind of makes the snowy days when you're wondering why you're in the building a little bit funner and a little bit more relaxed for me. So I enjoy doing it. For this year, I get really excited because Happy Planner put out a seasonal planner. I did take a look at some of the Erin Condren stuff that had come out, but it's challenging for me to work with the way that they do columns. But we're going to talk a little bit about that. But for this one, we're just going to kind of go through it. I frequently will purchase the kits when they're available from Happy Planner, but I didn't see one for this particular planner, and I really liked the inside. I thought it was really cute, so I picked it up. It does have plastic rings. Last year, I stuck with the plastic rings the whole time and didn't really miss having the metal expander rings. So I don't know. We'll start out with these for now. I'm not really meaning this to be so much a flip through, but a little bit of a discussion about if you're going to set up your teacher planner, what are the things that you can do at the beginning of the school year so that you are a little bit calmer and you feel a little bit more prepared as you're using your planner throughout the year, to keep track of what's going on in your classroom and for making some forward planning things. So they changed their packaging a little bit this year at Happy Planner, so you can kind of flip through these little guys at the front. This is not something that I'm going to keep on here. I just kind of kept it here for the purposes of making this video. It does tell us how long it is. Most teacher planners are 12 months. This one goes from July to June. My new school is over the year we moved. My new school goes well into June. This year we didn't get out until June 16th. So I will be needing June. The only month that I don't actually need is July, but I do frequently use those pages to organize things and keep track of checklists of what I'm doing at the beginning of the year, as the year gets started. So I'm just going to pull those guys off. I have kind of been looking for something that's more earth sciencey to put on my cover. Haven't really found one yet, but it's an April's, it's fine. There's a spot at the beginning. I do usually will keep post-it notes here of important people's names or important dates, things I want to be able to refer to easily. Otherwise, I try not to put too much in the space. As usual, there's a space to jot an academic calendar. This year, I kind of ended up on the Mildliner bandwagon, and so I got this big set. I think this one came from Sam's Club. It's great. This is a really good value. But I wanted some things that were more neutral because I do have a school now that has two different days. And so our days are green and gold. So I had to pick a green and a yellow that was all over the place in my planner last year. And I kind of like the background information to be a little bit more subtle. Sorry, my camera's moving. So I had to put yellow and green on every page of my planner last year as part of my background setup process. And I decided I want to go something more neutral. So I picked up a neutral set, and some of the grays repeat, but I actually use those a lot. So I'm going to use the green and the cream instead of a green and a yellow. So it's a little bit more in the background. There's a page here for our school schedule. It looks like there's not like notes for the substitute page anymore, which I'm kind of happy to see because I never leave this for a sub. Keep in mind, especially if you're new to teaching, that your planner book is something that's kind of in this gray area where it's a legal document that's part of your work product. And so in theory, someone could ask you to hand it over at some point if they need documentation for something. So you want to make sure that you keep your personal planning separate from your school planning. So try not to keep stuff personal in here. Maybe don't leave it with the sub, especially if you have a lot of students that have medical conditions and you're tracking any of that in your planner, because you don't want that information to become something that's publicly available. All these planners always have this year at a glance thing. I had a year where I put all my students' birthdays in it and then never looked at this page again. So I know that there are options for this, but I kind of struggle to use those. One reason I picked this planner is because it had some seasonality to it, and it had sort of these dashboard pages for each month that match the planners, which is kind of a weird hang up to have, I know. But I do like that they coordinate with each other and they go together. There have been years where Happy Planner has not made that a priority, and that kind of detail bugs me. But this is July. It's got some pencils on it. I did kind of mark the next couple pages, so we're going to skip the month of July for the minute, just so you can see this if you haven't seen this planner. August, of course, is apples on the dashboard page. September, oh, this is really cute. Here's to the best school year ever. It's got some of those themes copied over on the dashboard page. Super cute Halloween page with some metallic foil on this. I like when Halloween is the cute stuff and not the scary stuff. So like, I like cute spiders, cute bats. There's no cats on this one. Cute little candy corn witch over here on the side. Adorable. November is this leaf theme, which of course matches my new highlighters really well. December, gingerbread houses. I kind of like the pink. January, it's winter stuff. We didn't have any snow days last year. It's kind of sad. Teaching is a work of heart for February with some florals. March, rainbows and, leprechaun Irish theme. For spring, we have bunnies and carrots. For May, planting flowers. And then for June, strawberry lemonade. So it's really cute. There's also a checklist section. I have thoughts on the checklist section. The nose page is a really cute margin. So this just comes out strong. Really cute planner. So what I'm going to be doing when I set up my planner next week or so, this is going to be one of those, like, I feel like I want to do something that makes me ready for the next year without actually having to think too much about it. I actually tend to do a lot of decorating ahead of time. So I picked up the sticker book because I do like to decorate my my calendar pages. This is a bookmark that I picked up last year, as I do teach earth science, so I like that it had an earth on it. But these are pretty, this July page is pretty plain. Got a pencil and pencil shavings, just like our divider did. And this is pretty consistent. So October has a little bat and a little spider, but it's really small, so you can do whatever you want with these spaces. What I will be doing when I start with this is I'll start with my calendar pages. And the first thing I do, I usually go across the whole thing in pencil, usually. And I will mark things that are known school special days. So I've already got, it looks terrible because we're out of colored ink. But I pull out our calendar and I start marking anything that's a special day on this calendar. I will also mark those days on the pages in the planner as well. Usually I'll mark that in the spot under the date so that when I look ahead a couple of weeks at what's going on, I can be thinking about all those special events. The second thing that I'm going to do, as I said before, we have a block schedule that alternates days. I will go through and I will mark with my green and my cream which days are which. I will do that on my calendar. I also do that on the planner pages. So I go through and I do all that stuff first because that's all the sort of the foundational calendar timing things that we need to know to be able to plan things as we move through the schedule. So that's the first part. I'll also usually sticker this a little bit just so that it already looks nice, because what tends to happen is I forget that this exists, and then I get 3/4 of the way through the year and realize I haven't been using it, and then just becomes something that I do to waste time at my desk. If you were a person who doesn't get all the way through their sticker books, another thing to do with these is to put them in a box or a tub or something, and I give them to students. So I've used them, kids will just ask me for a sticker. I'll give them stickers. Or I have had students who I have them at the end of the day, and we sort of have an agreement. If they show me their agenda book or their list of homework for the day or whatever, I'll give them a sticker too. And so I've had students that have enjoyed that. Now, I've got all of my dates put on my calendars, all of my dates put on my planner pages. So then what I'm going to start doing is working on laying out literally the entire year of what I expect to happen. That can happen in various ways. So if you are new to our district or you are a district that has a pacing guide, that's a really good thing to use as a foundation for this. I also keep on my laptop sort of a perpetual calendar of what my lessons are. So I know how many units how many units I have in a year, how many days I have in each unit. Sometimes it varies. And then I know the lessons that I need to cover in each of those units. And I will go ahead and pencil in dates when I expect to be covering that. Let me show you a couple other things to consider. So with our layout pages, I really enjoy where it starts Monday and goes to Friday, because if I need to make a list, I can just lengthen my list across those boxes. Those of you who are horizontal planners, that doesn't mesh with my brain, because if I wanted to go across days, I would have a list that would go down a box and then start at the top of the next box and go. And I just don't like that. With block scheduling, what that means is that I may see students Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I can actually use the space in the Monday and the Tuesday section to talk about that class. And that's just something that's easy for my brain to keep track of. So generally I have the dates and I put the courses across the top, or another way you can think about it is just the list of things you need to keep track of. There's a couple of ways you can do that with the 7 boxes across the top. Again, one of my issues with the Erin Condren planner is that they have the row at the end looks different than the other 6 rows, which kind of corners you into the way that you can divide them up, unless you're okay with having a box that doesn't match. So that's what bugs me about this. And this is a really tidy layout, so it works for me. If you have 2 preps, so next year I have 2 preps. So I can use these 3 boxes for one prep, these 3 boxes for another prep. And you can divide those boxes however you want. You can use all 3 to describe what you're talking about, or you could use 1 for a to-do list, 1 for what your lesson is going to be. You can use 1 for lists of students that you need to talk to in that time frame or during that week. All sorts of things. You know, personalize it so it works for you. But I've found that when I have 2 preps, I can use 3 columns for one prep, 3 columns for the second prep, and then I can put a to-do list on the edge. Or you can use that for your homeroom classes or any other tasks you have. Well, you can modify this if you have 3 preps too. For that, I would put the to-do list on one side and then use 2 columns per prep. And that's another easy way to do it. One way I've liked doing this, let me find you a good page here, is that I will sometimes outline which boxes are which for my students. So let me make sure there's no names on this. Okay. So here's one from last year where what I did is I had classes across stops. This is biology. This is my geosystems class. And then I had marked on here, I don't have school. Here's my yellow days, my green days. Anything special that was happening during that week that we needed to keep track of. Looks like we had theme days that week. But I would use my gray to indicate that that was something that was happening in that chunk of time. So here, this class only met every other day. So I outlined the days that I had that class with gray and kept it in there. If I chose to, I could extend those notes down to the next box. There's certainly space for that. For my geosystems class, I would mark it as 2 boxes because I saw this class every day, but I knew that my Wednesday and Thursday group were going to get whatever was in this box. And so that was another thing that I could do. I kept special schedules in my notes, things I needed to do. I had a shopping list here on a Post-it note. So that was a way that my planner worked for me last year. That was pretty easy to keep track of. And then I have this as a record of how I actually spent my time, which is nice. So another thing that you're going to want to do before you start laying things out, first step is going to be to decide which columns go to which classes. The next thing you're going to do, since you've already written in any special dates when you don't have school, a lot of the time I will use a pencil or a sticker and just kind of decorate a row just to indicate that there's not class happening during that time, so that I know that. I'll pull out either my pacing guide or my perpetual lesson plan or whatever, and I'll start jotting these in. A lot of the times I'll use Post-it note. So instead of writing directly into this thing, I'll take a Post-it note, and I like the 3x3s for this because they're big, and I chose white on purpose because I just wasn't feeling the neon colors. The darker ones are also hard to use because you can't see them as well. But I'll put a big Post-it note here. So whatever I expect to be covering on this day, I'll fill in on the Post-it note. And sometimes I'll fold these or tear them off so that they fit a little bit better. I think it'd be kind of nice if you could buy a Post-it note that was that size. But it's easy enough to cut them off. And so I'll jot on there what to do. And the reason I like doing Post-it notes, one, you could save them. So you could One thing I've done is had a binder that's just dividers, and I'll have a divider for each unit and then a post-it note for each lesson that goes in that unit, and then I can just reuse the post-it notes every year. That's one thing you can do. Another tact you could take would be to develop your perpetual lesson plans on a file where you could print it out so that you could actually print onto the post-it notes and you can throw them away as you go through it. I've kind of done them both ways, and there are pros and cons to both of them. Last year I was working in a new district and kind of redoing the way I was teaching my class, and so I was keeping track of them in my planner. I would write down what actually happened, but I was throwing the post-it notes away. So I've been using that to replan a perpetual calendar for the next year. See how that goes. Other stuff you want to make sure that you include. If you have any conferences that you plan to attend, if there are any teacher conferences or subject-specific conferences, you want to make sure that you jot those down. Include that you're going to need sub-plans if you're going to be out of school, and then whatever you choose as your to-do list, maybe the week before, put down that you need to come up with sub-plans for the week before. That's a really nice thing to have in there so that when you flip to that page, you're like, oh yeah, I have that coming up. You probably didn't forget, but it's a nice way to remind you how to do that. Once you've got all that stuff laid down too, you can start to pencil in your meetings, do those sorts of things. So that pre-planning is what I'll be doing in the next couple of weeks, just so I can jot things down, fill stuff out, see where I expect myself to be at different points in the year. Sort of the last thing that I'm going to do, I will actually, our first August day will be this week. So I'll have students in the classroom on the 21st. So what will be going into this page is everything that I expect to be doing during that time. So what am I doing with my homeroom kids? How am I getting them ready for school? What are my opening activities that I need to do? My opening to-do list. And again, that to-do list, we know this, the to-do list for the beginning of school is pretty long. So I actually will lay that out on a prior page, just so that I have that someplace else. There'll be meetings on this week as well. So I'll probably, back up a little bit farther than that and make sure that I fill in my checklists for when I need to be doing things, where I need to be doing things, copies I need to make, stuff I need to do. So that's a little bit of a walkthrough of how to set up your teacher planner. So be thinking about that in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, as we're getting ready to go back to school. And those of you who have already started, good luck to you. I hope that everything's going awesome so far and that you all have a great year. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Stay safe and be well. Have a great school year. Bye.